Hey y'all, hey, we are back for another review for Tyler Perry's Sistas on BET. We're on episode 24, so I know I'm late. Don't tell me. I know my faults. Stick with me. Boom. So, we are back, and when we last left, Gary was getting arrested in the hospital lobby for the murder of Jasmine. Obviously, we realized that Jasmine is not dead at this point, so we already got that figured out. Andy and Gary are trying to figure out if Jasmine is really dead, like what happened. You know, the last time he saw Jasmine, she was alive. Like, what happened? And the cops are there. The one cop that is there is only interested in cuffing up Gary's ass. And a second cop, which I guess we are to assume is a more seasoned cop, he comes in and he says that the other cop is a rookie, and what he was supposed to say is attempted murder of Jasmine. Don't know why he said murder and attempt. You know, he didn't know the difference between murder and attempted murder because you're in the criminal justice field. Those are basic things that you can know. Murder, she dead. Attempted, she ain't, but you tried, motherfucker. Boom. But, yeah, that was kind of weird to me. I didn't get that part. But, now Gary he's more inundated with the fact of knowing if she's really dead, but they ship his ass off to jail and they'll figure his shit out later. Now, Andy's stuck having to figure out what the hell's going on. And then Sabrina storms in demanding to know, like, why are you here? What's happening? Are you okay? Like, what's happening? And she tells Sabrina that Jasmine had an accident, and, you know, so now Sabrina, she's up in arms and she's concerned about if Gary did it to her and did he do it on purpose. Like, she want to know the dynamics because, you know, she's looking out for her homegirl. And while they're there, Morris walks up and he tells Sabrina everything, you know, from his side of things, which he will get to portray Gary as attempting to kill her, like consciously making an effort to do so. So that's what they'll be having to deal with. Okay, so now at this point, Sabrina is outdone with Andy and she's just, you know, telling her, like, I need to know everything that you need to know. I need to know what the hell is going on. And Morris tells her she holds all the cards. Yeah, that's cool or whatever, but you better make sure you play them right. And that your little boyfriend Gary's going to be going away for a long time. And of course, she stood up for her man. He didn't do it on purpose. Girl, child, shut up, because you're stupid. But we'll get into more of Andy's stupidity as the episode goes on. Okay, so Sabrina's still begging her for details about what the fuck's going on. And her sole concern is getting Gary out of jail. So she finally spills some to Sabrina about what's happening, and it seems to me that the only reason she told Sabrina was because she wants to make sure Sabrina has her facts straight when she reports back to the other girls. That's the little snootiness I got out of her tone. Basically she was like, okay, I know you're gonna go tell the other girls, but when you do, make sure you got the facts straight. Okay, girl, ride for your no good nigga. That's cool. That's cute. But so she's balls to the wall for good old Gary. And then Sabrina leaves the waiting room and Morris comes in to get Andy because Jasmine wants to see her. At this point, I am done. This shit is over fucking rated because what? Andy, you going this hard for Gary? Sorry, y'all. I don't normally drink my wine on camera, but this whole Andy and Gary fiasco is driving me to drink, and it's doing a lot. It's making me upset. If there's any wine companies that want to sponsor your girl, I like muscadine wines, I like sweet wines, red wines, those types of things. So if you want to feature your wine on my channel, hit me up, because ooh. Alright, so jumping back into it. Morris and Andy are in the room with Jasmine, and you know, I noticed something has happened to her face in between falling on her back on the car, which looked to be about a story, you know, just off the top of the second level of a parking garage. Not too deadly. She landed on the car, you know, just the physics of it all. But from falling on her back, now her whole face is scratched up, and you know, there's a lot she seems to have been through. And so Morris and Jasmine are just kind of trying to get Andy to see that Gary is such a bad person. He's going to do it to her next. You know, and then she tells Andy, you know, why would my face be all beat up and bruised up if I fell on my back? Which is interesting, but I mean, I guess if you really want to take him down, you bust yourself, I guess. I don't fucking know. But I don't remember her face being like that earlier in the episode on the top of the car when she was telling Gary, you know, she used to love him and blah, blah, blah. Woo. So, yeah. So they're just on this mission, this smear campaign to make Gary look like the horrible person and that he beat her up and he's abusive and all these other things. So Andy storms out and Sabrina had been standing at the door kind of listening in, and she begs Andy, like, tell me everything that happened. Did he do this to Sabrina? Did he do this to Jasmine? Like, you know, I'm trying to look out for you. So Andy blesses her that she would never let a man hit her, and Sabrina reminds her, no, you would never let a man hit you again. Because what we learn in this scene is that Andy has been in a domestic situation, and she did not leave until he bruised or broke her ribs, one of the two, and she was repeatedly beat up by some dude in college. So, you know, now she's outdone and she wants to walk away and she doesn't want to talk about it anymore. So, I mean, you're not outside. I guess I understand Sabrina's upset because it's not outside of the realm of possibility when it comes to someone as naive as Andy. And Sabrina has that same naivety. How you say that word? She's just as naive as Andy, so she knows her friend in that aspect. So it's a lot. I don't know. I was rooting for Gary when the PI said they were trying to set him up too, but and he didn't hurt Jasmine on purpose. But this whole thing is getting weird. It's getting kind of hectic. It's getting kind of hectic. Hey, Karen's mom is at Zach, wherever Zach is, and she's giving him the blues about messing things up with Karen yet again, and that she probably still wants him, but she wants a better version of who he can potentially be. And she asks him what his plan is for his life, and he just says, work at the airport. You know, very unambitious, very whatever the situation is right now is what I'm going to be doing. And she asked him, you know, what about going back to barber school? We know you had a setback with jail, blah, 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 but where's your ambition? And she tells him that she can't understand what he goes through as a man, but some things are just common sense, basically. Like, you need to get up off your ass, do a little bit better for yourself. And Karen mom texts her boyfriend to come in, and he's a young tender. You know, she's an older lady, and so I'm trying to figure out, like, what the hell was going on. Well, his name is Chris, and he has a sordid past, such as Zach. And, you know, I guess Karen kind of brought him in to give Zach some motivation, like, hey, you know, he did jail time as well, and, you know, he's touching $1 million this year because he's decided to kind of focus his energy somewhere else. And he found his way into his own construction company. And then he tells Zach that Chris is an example of what Karen is looking for in Zach. And then Zach he gets interested in what Chris is doing and asks him to tell him, you know, how did you get started? You know, it kind of sparked the interest in Zach. But this is my thing. Listen, stay with me. I get what Karen's mom is saying. Karen is looking for Chris in Zach. Cool. But what if that's not who Zach is? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, Chris, you know, came back from his little struggles and strikes or whatever. He was able to create $1 million construction company. What if Zach's fulfillment is working at the airport? Because sometimes we have this in my opinion, this jaded sense of entrepreneurship is the ultimate goal. Well, some people are content in working what we would consider to be menial jobs. And I say that because I was having a conversation with my sister, and I told her, you know, we kind of look down at fast food workers and CNAs or nurses, you know, people in certain fields. We kind of look at them as, we don't look at them as the great, glamorous, luxurious jobs, but we're in the middle of a pandemic, and these are the people that are upholding us: the janitors, the nurses, the sanitation people, these types of people that we would normally turn our noses up at. And you know, these are the people that are keeping us afloat. Actually, in this time where a lot of the corporate people, you can't go into your jobs. A lot of the people that have concerts and, you know, they make their money that way. These are things you can't do, so you can't supplement your income. And as quiet as it's kept, unemployment is only about 1/4 of what the hell you was making. So they coming out a little better on this on the end of this thing. But said all that to say, maybe the airline, the airport, or wherever he's working is the pinnacle of what his form of success is. So that's something to keep in mind when we're trying to make people be like somebody else. That's not his light in life, perhaps. You know, I don't know. We'll see what comes of it. But whatever. So Karen is having dinner with the preacher dude, and he offers to wash the dishes, and Karen lets us know that that's something that nobody's ever done for her before. What I'd like to know is who are you fucking with where they've never washed a dish, but I digress. And he tells her that she needs to get whatever it is off her chest and stop holding it in, because I guess she's kind of reserved at this point, and she lets the preacher dude know that Zach's indiscretions, you know, still bother her, but she still likes him, and blah blah blah. Who cares? And then the preacher tells us that the preacher dude, Aaron, I think his name is, tells her that, you know, you still love Zach, and she tells him even though she still loves someone, it doesn't mean that they're good for her. Exactly. You can love somebody till your head fall off your body and roll around on the floor, but if they're not good for your spirit, your life, your truth, your goals, everything else, it ain't gonna work. You can love somebody to death, but that ain't gonna sustain you in the long haul. I don't know. Don't ask me. That's just what somebody told me one day. Okay. So she definitely had a good point there. So the preacher dude just flat out asks her, you know, what she wants in a man, and she lists all of these needs and her wants, and the preacher dude goes in for a kiss, and it's about to go down, but she stops him, saying that she can't. So here we go. Contradictory point. Help me. So we learned that Karen was celibate before Zach showed up. So which Zach's appearance? Because Zach was in jail. You know, Zach had been on and off for a year. So like, at what time frame were you celibates? Because I remember that there were jump offs in earlier episodes this season, and this is after Zach is out of jail. And I remember the dude that said he was getting married, so he ain't really trying to jump her off no more. Girl, I don't know. If you celibate, cool. If it's been a day, a week, 3 months, that's none of my business. But I thought that was weird because I remember the little jump offs coming through. At least 2 of them I remember throughout the season. So I'm confused. But anyway, there's a knock on the door that interrupts her getting around to actually putting him out, and it's Sabrina. So that's a great caveat to help the preacher get out so nothing else goes down. All right. Sabrina tells Karen everything she witnessed at the hospital with Andy, and Karen's able to convince Sabrina to calm down because she's, you know, a worry and she gets upset and she gets all worked up, and, you know, get some rest, and then she'll update her when she gets back from going to see Andy. And then Sabrina, she also tells Sabrina, like, you need to go home because you need to go finish tending to Calvin, because last time we saw Calvin, he was drunk and just belligerent at this point. So she got to go deal with the aftermath that's back at the ranch. So she leaves. Delicious. All right, so Andy made it to the jail, and everybody already knows what. It's interesting because everybody already knows who she is, what she looks like, and who her and Gary are. And she wants to know, like, what are you talking about? Like, the officer that brings her into the room to wait for Gary tells her, you know, I already know who you are. Get comfortable, blah, blah, blah. And it seems as if Jasmine and Orrin Morris has been emailing flyers and handing flyers out of her and Gary's picture all over the town, just saying she's a home wrecker, she stole the lady's husband, and blah, 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 blah. But the cop, Mr. Copper, he gets weird. He gets weird because he starts being weirdly concerned about if Andy was okay. Like, are you okay? Do you need anything? Is there anything I can do for you? Like, it was real creepy, rapey vibes. But I don't even know why that scene was in there because it didn't come to anything. But yeah, it was weird. I guess it was worth mentioning. So they finally bring Gary in, and Andy asks if he beat Jasmine up, just to clarify, because if I'm going to defend you as a lawyer, I need to know the absolute truth so that there's no surprises in courts. Just from a little bit of legal knowledge, I'm sure that's why she's asking. And also from a personal side, because if you out here beating bitches up, I ain't finna go too hard for you, brother, because I might be the next one that gets beat up. But who knows her reasons. Probably just to solidify how hard she wants to go for him and defend him to her friends and make him out to be a wonderful person at the end of all this. It's my assumption, but we only got one more episode to find out anyway. And I think they've been picked up for season 2, so this saga will go on, I'm sure. But anyway, so he's upset that she would even dare ask him something like that, and how could she ask him something like that? He would never do anything. Okay, yeah, sure. Then he goes on to admit, and she was like, okay, fine, let's just figure these things out. Let me talk to the lawyer that you said you had instead of the one that I recommended. And he goes on to admit that he didn't have a lawyer friend to help her and that he was jealous of the other guy that Andy recommended. We already knew that. Stupid. So he finally agrees to let the other lawyer help him get a bail amount, so at least he can get bailed out of jail until all of this is figured out. Then he asked her if his business manager called her. And this is where shit gets thick, okay? So, hold on. Let me tell you what the fuck Gary said to Andy, okay? I told you these people are making me drink. Gary said, hey, while we here, did my business manager call you? She said, no, I had a missed call from somebody, but I didn't answer. He says it's because he needs to move some money into her personal. Gary said he needs to move some money into Andy's personal account. And she reminded him, Jasmine has access to all of your accounts. That may not be the smartest move when it comes to the divorce or whatever you're trying to do. And he somehow convinces her that he needs to move money into her account right now. It needs to happen. So she needs to call his business manager and give him her account information. Bitches, you crazy. You got me. I will put that bitch on a rush card before I put this shit in my personal account. You finna call this random business manager on the phone that you've never met, know nothing about. You're gonna email this man your account information? Are you stupid? That is scammer 101. Bitch. I'm sorry. Get back. Alright. And this dummy goes on to say, yeah. So she excuses herself to go call the missed call. The missed call turns out to be the private investigator lady, and she says, hey, where you at? I'm waiting on you. You need to hurry up. Come on down while I feel like talking. All right, so that's gonna be her next stop. She calls the financial guy John, and no, before she can get off the phone with Leslie, John calls her back, and John said, hey, Gary told me to call you so we can get this money moved, blah blah blah. And she said, okay, cool, give me about 5 minutes, I'll email you my account information and we can go from there. Bitch, are you stupid? Are you dumb? That's all I got on that one. Andy squares Gary away, and she meets Leslie at the bar, and Nikki is there, which is Fatima, Andy's ex-assistant. Her homegirl, Nikki, that she hooked up with Leslie. They were there, and Nikki excuses herself and tells Andy that they, Leslie tells Andy that they planned it all. Whatever it is, Morris and Jasmine set the whole thing up. Morris and Jasmine have been having an affair for over a year, and Morris is having money troubles, which would further allude to why he didn't pay Leslie when he fired her for her work, for her services. But Jasmine wanted out, so they needed dirt on Gary, and that's where they stumbled upon Andy. Okay, so Morris and Jasmine, they've been fucking around for a year. Okay, Morris needs money. Jasmine needs to get out of this divorce. Jasmine can't go without Gary's money, so she got to have dirt on Gary in order for, the judge to give her the money, right? Boom. So they happen upon Gary and Andy. So they said, boom, let's parlay this shit into a lawsuit because she is a lawyer. But don't sue her, sue her firm. Smart, but goddamn. All right, so Morris came up with the idea to get the settlement from the firm, because that's gonna be, if you sue Andy, you ain't gonna get much money. Like, you might get, 100,000 out of her, but you can get 100 million out of this law firm, because a lot of these places have accounts set aside, for things like that, for lawsuits. At least in the medical world, you have that medical malpractice insurance and all this other stuff. So I'm assuming law firms have the same sort of things, because people get sued all the time. So these larger corporations, of course, but we ain't gonna get into that. And then we learned that Bellamy is Andy's boss. He is also in on the scam because he has a lot of debts out there as well. So what I'm assuming is Morris talked to Bellamy. They're going to sue the law firm, and they're going to both get the money off the top. And then Morris and Jasmine has money to go run off. And Gary and Andy will be in jail caught up in some legal shit in the process. Bitch, this shit got deep. Okay, so, and Leslie is telling her, you know, because she thinks Andy's, and, you know, Andy wants to know, like, why are you telling me this information? Like, you've been following me for all this long, you know, blah, 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 blah. And Leslie telling her because she thinks Andy's a nice girl and she had no idea what hit her. You know, she was just wanting to be with Gary, but the shit is deeper than Gary at this point. And the only reason that she decided to tell all this to Andy is because, you know, she thinks Andy's nice or whatever, and she, you know, she was just naive in the situation, but because Morris owes her money, and that gives me another point. Always pay your debts, because the person you owe money is gonna be the one to run you over with the bus. She's telling everything because you owe her money. We wouldn't have this. We wouldn't have any of this information had you just paid the fucking lady what you owed her, Morris. Since y'all scamming, pay off the people that know all the information about the scam. Duh. All right, so she gives Andy everything she needs to bury them, and Andy, she tells Andy, you know, if you ever need me for any private investigative work, I mean, if you work this right, you can get out of this on top. But if you ever need me to do any private investigative work, I got you. And it's like, I don't need anything from you. No, ma'am. That is not how I would have left that situation. You have given me everything to save my ass. Girl, I will keep you in mind. I don't care if I'm selling you a dream. I'll keep you in mind, girl. I got you. Yeah. Goodbye. But, yeah, so we go back to the final scene of the episode, and Karen's coming out of her bedroom, and someone is in her house. The door's open, and they're just sitting on the couch, just looking at the wall, like they've been waiting for hours for her to come out of her room. And it turns out it is Aaron's brother-in-law. So Preacher Dude's brother-in-law, the lady that killed herself, her brother, and he thinks that Karen killed his sister. Why would you think that when there were dozens of witnesses in the hair salon that could tell you otherwise? Don't know. But he thinks that Karen killed his sister, and he's there. I guess he's there to kill Karen. So she tries to run into the room, but the dude overpowers her. So from the previews from the final episode, so it looks like Zach may have gotten caught up in the process, and hopefully Karen's going to shoot Aaron's brother and gets rid of him. So we'll see what happens in the next episode. We got one to go, so stick with me. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.